Hello YouTubers, this is Cessna 8 back again with another video. There's something that doesn't sound quite right with this. Definitely sounds off somewhere. Anyway, what I'm holding in my hand is a new, old, dedicated handheld game system that came out in 1978. Back then, everyone and their brother were coming out with dedicated handhelds. You had Parker Brothers, you had Mattel, you had Coleco, you had Atari, and you had others as well. Most only played one game. I was in a Toys R Us in 1978 and I saw this up on the shelf and I thought it looked really cool. So I started reading the copy on the box, and whoever wrote the copy on the box knew what they were doing, because after I read the copy on the box I thought to myself, I gotta get me one of those. And whenever I think I gotta get me one of those, I get me one of those. Well, it was $80, which is a bit pricey. But it doesn't play just one game, it plays 6. Now, for quite a long time after I bought this, my family members, aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, you name it, thought I was nuts having paid $80 for a dedicated game system, a toy. Some of them dismissed it simply as just a toy. But I thought it was really cool, and I spent a lot of time on this thing. But somewhere along the way, I lost mine. And as more time went by, I forgot what it was called. And I forgot who made it. I could remember generally when it came out, but tried finding a replacement when all you know is generally when it came out. You could describe it, well, it looked like this, and it was this color, and it had so many of these, and it had more than just one built-in game. I don't know what it's called. I don't know who made it. Well, good luck on that. Well, there is a really good YouTube channel and also a website called RetroWare TV. And they have a series called The Video Game Years. They have them for 1977, 78, 79, and 80. They haven't done anything past 80 yet. But I was watching the one for 1978, and I can't remember if it was during part 1 or part 2, but one of these flashed up on the screen for 2 seconds, maybe 3, long enough for me to go, and then it was gone. Fortunately, in part 3, they went into greater detail. They showed it again, they mentioned who made it, what it was called, that it was a massive bestseller, and so forth. Haha! Now I know what it's called. So I immediately went to eBay and did a search, hoping that I would find one. Well, I found several, and over a wide range of prices too. The least expensive one was $10, and it didn't even work. In fact, it didn't even have all the parts. It was being sold for parts only. The next one I found, price-wise, was one going for $15. The one going for $15, the battery terminals were corroded. However, the seller, the person who owned it, had bypassed the battery terminals and were using simply the built-in AC power adapter. Then I found this one, and I found others too that were more expensive. In fact, I found one that was still factory sealed in its original box. The seller was asking $150 for it. I might have been nuts back in 1978 to pay $80 for this thing, but I'm not stupid. I'm not going to pay $150 for one. Well, I bought this one from a seller in Canada. Cost me all of $25. They threw in free shipping, and it got here 2 days after I paid for it. And it was extremely well packaged. And I opened it and was pleasantly surprised that all of the games worked. In fact, something that surprised me was that it had batteries in it. The seller who had sold it to me just prior to packaging it had put in brand new batteries. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what are you even talking about? Well, as I said, this came out in 1978, and it's called the Parker Brothers Merlin. The Merlin didn't have one built-in game. It had 6. And 2 of those games have 9 difficulty levels. So I spent a lot of time playing this thing back then, but I was surprised when I opened it up and I turned it on and saw, hey, they put batteries in it. Which is a big deal because it uses 6 AA's. Now, I wasn't the only one who bought one of these back in the day. In fact, I was quite surprised when my wife mentioned, when she saw it, I used to have one of those. But my wife is 10 years younger than I am, and that kind of surprised me. So I went to Wikipedia and looked it up and found that this was on the market for a long time. Came out in 1978, as I mentioned. By 1980, it was deemed the best-selling toy or game, having sold over 2 million units. By 1982, they had sold over 5 million Merlins. Now, I didn't know they came out with more than just red, but on eBay I was finding them blue, I was finding them gray, and I found one that was gold colored that was in a display case. I don't know what that was. But anyway, in 1982, Parker Brothers redesigned it and re-released it, calling it the Master Merlin. And that was on the market for a number of years. It looks totally different, but it plays the same games. Then, in 1995, they came out with a revised version again, this time called Merlin the 10th Quest. 1995. Merlin the 10th Quest. Now, the thing about that is it has 9 built-in games instead of 6. But if you beat all 9 of the games, it unlocked a 10th one. Now you might be asking yourself, well, what games does it play? Well, first of all, tic-tac-toe. Now, the version of tic-tac-toe that is in here is very hard. In fact, I've never beat it since I reacquired a Merlin. I probably did back in the day, but as of yet, I haven't managed to do that. Game 2 is called Music Machine, and that's what you heard at the beginning of this video. You can program a sequence of up to 40 notes, and it will remember them. And then you hit the button labeled Comp Turn, obviously for computer turn, and it plays it back. Holds up to 40 notes or holds. That's game 2. It didn't come with the manual, but I went online and found an online manual for it. And there must have been 20 songs that they had already listed all the numbers for that you programmed into it. It has no storage capabilities, so once you turn the unit off, the game that you input is, or the song that you input is no longer there. Game 3 is called Echo, which has 9 difficulty settings. Echo is a Simon clone. Everybody knows how big Simon was. In fact, Simon is still out. And then the fourth game, Blackjack 13. And then there are two games that I have never been able to play. One is called Magic Square, and the other one is called Mindbender, which has 9 difficulty levels. And I don't recall which one it is, Mindbender or Magic Square, but it plays a sequence of notes with the lights corresponding to those notes flashing. And then you have to put in the next note that would fall in that sequence. You don't know what that sequence is. At least I never was able to figure out what the next sequence was. But anyway, there's that. I believe I mentioned, looked this up on Wikipedia, they had sold up to 5 million in 1982, re-released it and all that stuff. Now, let's see if I can do Echo. Echo is game 3, so I hit New Game 3, and then you input the number of notes you want to play back. Say 2. Then hit Comp Turn. Well, that's easy. Okay, and you hit Same Game. I'll pick 3 notes this time. Ah! Comp. No, wait a minute. Same game. 5 notes. Comp turn. Well, you get an idea of how that plays. On the market forever. And I believe I read in the Wikipedia article that they either just came out with it or they're about to come out with another version of Merlin. I'd got in my head somewhere that I was going to start collecting dedicated handhelds, and this is a really good one to start with. It's heavy and bulky, it's well made in 1978, and it still works perfectly. So I have to thank RetroWare TV for reminding me of the Parker Brothers Merlin, or if you get one from 1982, the Master Merlin, or if you get one from 1995, the Merlin, or Merlin the 10th Quest. Okay, until next time, stay awesome.